Hi, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning. Yeah. Thank you for coming up after the Saturday night block party. See, everyone's looking so awake and chipper, so that's great. But yeah, welcome to our panel, NASA and the Planetary Society, Space, Time, and You. But you might have noticed that NASA is not in the title officially, and they're also not here. So it's just Sarah and I. Sarah's from the Planetary Society, and we'll do intros in a moment. But yeah, NASA was not able to be here due to the government shutdown. And I know they were very, very excited to come here and share their knowledge and talk to each and every one of you, honestly. NASA really loves talking to people, especially people who watch Twitch. So we'll get into that more, but let's start our panel here. So I'm Moohoodles. I am a full-time streamer. I do science communication on outer space and astrobiology. I also do variety gaming from retro up to new stuff. I do silly puppet shows, beatboxing, and a whole bunch of things. I've been streaming over 11 years. I helped pioneer science communication on the platform, and I'm so happy to be here and joined by Sarah.
Well, thanks so much for having me. My name is Sarah Al-Ahmed. I'm the host of Planetary Radio at the Planetary Society, which is a weekly space podcast. We talk about things that are going on in space exploration around the world, and we're produced by the Planetary Society, which is the world's largest space interest nonprofit. We have tens of thousands of people around the world, and just as TwitchCon is celebrating their 10-year anniversary, we're celebrating our 45th anniversary as an organization. Who here's a member of the Planetary Society? Thank you so much for being here and for everything that you guys are doing to support space exploration around the world. I'm so touched that you guys are here. But to give you guys a little bit of context for what the Planetary Society is, basically, if we throw back to right after the Apollo era, humanity went to the moon, but right after that, basically, space science lost a lot of its funding. So in that moment, someone you may know, Carl Sagan, and two of his buddies, Bruce Murray and Lou Friedman, got together and they formed our nonprofit as a way of giving people around the world an active role in trying to support space exploration. And now our CEO is Bill Nye the Science Guy. Yeah. Bill. I know. Okay, what a trip is it to be like a space fan and then to suddenly get to meet one of your heroes like Bill Nye, right? But also I have to say, Moo, thank you for inviting me to be here, because as a nerd that has been coming to Comic-Con panels in this exact building for ages, it is such a dream to be able to be a panelist here, so thank you so much.
Well, of course, thank you for coming. I'm so excited.
I know.
And I did just want to clarify, since NASA is not here, I did want to cover their slides that they added to the panel, but obviously we don't work at NASA. We are not affiliated with NASA in any way, shape, or form. So this is an outsider's perspective, but we do kind of want to talk about their stuff because NASA does amazing things, and I think all of us in here are fans of NASA. But yeah, I just wanted to clarify that and also say, since they're not here, Sarah and I are going to deep dive into some fun topics, I think. So,
none of what we say here is in any way affiliated with NASA or anyone there. Just gotta put the disclaimer on there.
Greetings, TwitchConsters. Bill Nye here, CEO of the Planetary Society. We promote the scientific exploration of space. And speaking of which, at Twitch, this is the most exciting time in space exploration since the Apollo era. We have a better chance today of answering the two deep questions than we've ever had in history. Where did we come from, and are we alone in the cosmos? To answer those questions, we need to explore space. And in order to explore space, we've got to get people excited about it and promote the value of it. That's where you all come in, these science communicators, you sci-comsters. So a shout out to all of you and to Moohoodles for making this possible. Working together, we can, dare I say it, change the world. Thank you. Have a good conference.
I know. Unfortunately, Bill couldn't be here in person because he is all over the place trying to advocate for NASA right now, if you've seen him out and about. But he did take the time to record a video for us because he wanted to share you guys some love.
Sorry, I should have done a better intro to be like, we have a special video, and yeah, my bad. But I'm so excited, and I'm so grateful that Bill took the time to do that video, and yeah, he's awesome. A big inspiration to me, so that's, yeah. So essentially during this panel, we want to talk about, celebrating 10 years on Twitch, or 10 years of TwitchCon, 45 years of the Planetary Society. I've been streaming over 11 years. We're going to talk about the past, present, and the future that we want to see of space exploration. So here's a little bit on the history and highlights, some milestones going on.
Yeah, so it's interesting because NASA has done a lot of things in space, but I'm not sure how many people are aware of how many other organizations are trying to do this kind of work. There are space agencies around the world, but also our nonprofit has been trying to do a lot of this work as well. One of our biggest things that we ever did together was the Light Sail mission. I can't even tell you how amazing this was. It was the first all crowd-funded space mission in history. 50,000 people around the world donated their money so that we could build a solar sail. Essentially, we built a spacecraft that could actually test whether or not light bouncing off of a solar sail was a viable means of propulsion for a spacecraft. And since we proved that, and I do have to give a shout out to the Japanese space agency, JAXA, they accomplished it before us, but only because our first attempt exploded on a Russian mission. So I'm not going to count that as our fault. But essentially, we managed to pull that off, and since then, NASA has used that kind of technology for other missions going forward. So now NASA and other space agencies around the world are trying to use this technology in order to create space missions that don't need any fuel. And if you imagine, this is one of those technologies that I think is not only useful for doing missions around worlds in our solar system, right? Like try to sail out to Uranus or something without any fuel. But if we want to get out to other star systems, imagine how much fuel it's going to take you to get to some place like Alpha Centauri, right? That's going to be really difficult. But if you have a solar sail, you bounce light off of that. That light imparts momentum to the solar sail. That means that you could speed up a spacecraft and send them out to star systems all around us without any fuel. And I honestly think this might be the technology that helps us explore the space around us.
I completely agree, and I love talking about this on my stream. I love seeing light sail tech in video games because it's so exciting. That's actually the mission that got me to join the Planetary Society.
That's amazing.
Yeah, in 2014, I got a little piece of light sail and everything. It's so cool. I also want to do a shout out to, I think Breakthrough Starshot is working on solar sails as well, trying to get them to be laser propelled to go super fast.
Yeah, I mean, part of the tricky bit with that technology is that you have to be close to a light source for it to work. So part of the ways that you can think of speeding up something like that is by bouncing lasers off of it. So that's like a really clever idea. Another thing that we did, if you guys are familiar with the Perseverance rover that's currently on Mars, this is a NASA mission that landed back in 2021, and it's currently in Jezero Crater, or I should say, it is now up out of Jezero Crater on the lip because it's been taking samples down in what used to be an ancient river delta on Mars. So this was a place where water was flowing down into this crater, forming a lake. And you may have heard recently about something. We'll talk a little bit about it more in the future. But they gathered a sample recently that may show signs of biosignatures on Mars in the past. So right now, that thing is gathering samples, and we're hoping to bring them back to Earth to test what was going on Mars, what's going on with the organics, whether or not that's actually evidence of past life. But the Planetary Society helped out with that in a few forms, and one of them, if you look at the slide, the picture on the top left, that's a picture of a calibration target. So when you take pictures on Mars, it's kind of hard to calibrate the colors to actually figure out what Mars looks like. So we put these calibration targets on there that allow you to color match, essentially. But Bill Nye is a huge fan of sundials. So we turned it into a little sundial, and we helped design that and send that up to Mars. There's a bunch of other technology we've been working on. Planet Vac is a little vacuum you stick onto the feet of your rovers or your landers when you land on other worlds, and it sucks up material, so you can get samples by just landing on a place. We tested it this year on a mission that went to the moon as part of the Commercial Lunar Services program. Got a little sample of the moon, but we're going to be doing another one in the future, which I'll talk about. You may also be familiar with the Europa Clipper mission that is now on its way to the moon of Jupiter. That one is an ocean world. I know you're super passionate about this.
Oh, I'll be getting into that, I think, on a future slide, yeah.
But part of the reason that mission exists at all is because space fans like you advocated for it. The number of times that that mission was almost canceled, it was our largest letter writing campaign ever. Tens of thousands of people, I think by the end of it, we had hundreds of thousands of letters sent into Congress about that, and we saved Europa Clipper. We also do grant programs. So we support people that are trying to protect the Earth from asteroid impacts. So our Shoemaker Near-Earth Object Program gives money to asteroid hunters because we're trying to make sure that we can detect one of those things before it plows straight into Earth and potentially destroys life. So we're funding a bunch of those. And because our light sail mission was so successful, we now also give grant money to people through our Science and Technology Empowered by the People, or STEP grant program. That gives people the money they need to innovate, create some cool technologies, and we've gotten some really great ones out of that. But mostly what we do is community engagement, getting people excited about space, and also advocating for space exploration around the world. I think something that people don't fully understand is that people at NASA are legally barred from talking to Congress about funding for space missions. They can't do that. So when it's a tough situation with funding, we need to be their voice. They can't speak up for themselves. So that's what we do. We step in and we organize people around the world to vouch for them, to speak out for these missions, to tell people how amazing these things are. And it's been absolutely wild to see, especially right now, what's going on with that.
Yeah, and we'll definitely be getting into that a little bit more soon. But yeah, thank you so much for covering some of the amazing highlights that the Planetary Society has done over the years. Here's some NASA highlights that we want to cover, even though NASA can't be here, and we are not affiliated with NASA once again. But the Perseverance rover, they did a whole live stream for the landing in 2021, right? And that was absolutely amazing. I know that was a huge deal for NASA. There was a ton of people watching it, and it was an absolute win for their Twitch stream as well. A big thing that NASA wants to do, from my understanding, is scientific outreach and you know, getting people excited and inspired to go into STEM or to, you know, support NASA and what they're doing and be really, really thrilled about it. So having these live streams on Twitch where they can interact with the audience and share this with millions of people around the world live is such a huge deal for them to be able to do. So I know that was a big win for them.
Can I just say,
Yeah.
Who watched that stream from the landing on Mars? Okay, I don't know if people know this. That was the first time we got a full video back of a landing on another world. That was so crazy. And if you haven't seen it, please go see it, because it is one of the craziest things you will ever see in your entire life.
Thank you for pointing that out as well, because it's kind of unreal to think about, like, we're able to see that stuff live streamed. Like, we see rocket launches live streamed all the time. We watch them on my stream, and yeah, we have cameras on things landing on the moon and doing so much, and I feel so grateful to be alive in a time when we're able to have so much space exploration going on, but also be able to actually see it almost as if we're there on the spacecraft too. So, very exciting time. We're also thrilled, obviously, because of our outfits, for the James Webb Space Telescope that launched a few years ago. Been doing a whole bunch of amazing science. It looks really deep into the infrared field of light, way back in time to some of the very first galaxies that ever formed after the Big Bang. So we're learning a whole lot about cosmology and kind of updating our models of that with more data that we're getting. And obviously amazing, beautiful images as well. And we'll be getting into more of those soon.
I have to ask, what image is this one?
Oh, this is Tarantula Nebula.
Cool.
It's actually one of my favorites from JWST. It's gorgeous.
Yeah, I got the Carina Nebula on there. We didn't do this on purpose.
We did not. It's great. And yeah, the top right photo there is Europa Clipper launching. I actually got to go to Kennedy Space Center and live stream that launch. And y'all, that was like such a highlight of my life. It was amazing. That was my first rocket launch I've ever seen. It launched on a Falcon Heavy rocket, and it is currently on the way to Jupiter's moon, Europa. And it'll get there in 2030. So if you're not familiar with Europa, it is a it has a 10 plus miles of ice and a surface ocean larger than all of Earth's oceans combined. So there's a lot of water on there. And Europa Clipper is not technically a life detection mission, but we're going to learn more about the subsurface ocean and kind of know good places to land a follow-up mission. And see if it has everything needed to harbor life. It's a mission that I've been really excited for when I was going towards my degree. That was the dream job that I wanted to work with. So it's cool that I get to do science communication and outreach, and I got to stream the rocket launch just by being a Twitch streamer and doing SciComm.
I am low-key jealous that you got to go to that one of all the missions, because come on, I mean, that moon has more water in it than we have on Earth two times over. Mm-hmm. There is so much there. It's quite possible that life may be developing under there, or at least that the conditions for life are met. But part of what I do on my podcast is that I get to interview people that work on these space missions. And the tale of Europa Clipper was just so completely unhinged, because there was a huge hurricane that came through Florida. Literally, they had to delay the launch of this mission. And the entire team was in a hotel that got hit by a tornado literally just right before this launch. So shout out to the people at NASA that still went through and did this mission, because I don't know, after all of that planning, I was on the edge of my seat with this hurricane, and it went straight through Cape Canaveral.
Oh yeah, I had to delay my flight, and I felt so bad for all the NASA people. I was like, I hope everyone's okay, and it worked out, and I think it made it maybe a little extra, emotional and sentimental, because it's whew, all the stress, all of the weathering, the storms, and here we are, and it's launching, and it's incredible. I definitely cried a lot, and yes, it was live streamed, so. The bottom photo there is astronaut Don Petit. This was the first ever live-streamed Twitch conversation with an astronaut on the International Space Station. We have the technology. We are doing that stuff now, and it is so exciting. I know in the future NASA wants to do more things like this. They even talked about, maybe, actually I'll get to that in the future, but maybe one day we'll be having live streams from Mars or something, or from the moon. So very exciting things. Yeah,
the one problem there is the time delay. Does it even count as a live stream if it's delayed by light travel?
I mean, yeah, I would say so. Some streamers put an intentional delay on their stream, if they're doing competitive gaming. He's doing maybe competitive photography or something. He's a world champion, literally taking photos of the entire Earth. He showed his camera setup and everything. And by the way, if you missed the live stream of this, it is highlighted on NASA's Twitch page. So if you're not following them, please go to twitch.tv/NASA. Follow them, and go check out their streams.
Can you imagine? Hey, chat, we'll get back to you in 45 minutes.
All right. I know NASA has also been trying to design a zero-gravity indicator for Artemis 2, the mission going around the moon next year. And usually, I guess I'll let you elaborate on this, because I feel like you kind of know some of the designs.
Oh my gosh, I got to talk to some of the people who were organizing this contest. Essentially, whenever you go to space, right, there's that moment where you hit weightlessness. And in order to indicate that, you need some way to see it, but you don't want something floating through the area around you that's going to be hard. So classically, people send something like a plushie. And you'll see this in so many space launches. There's that moment where a little plushie, a Beanie Baby or something is floating through the air. This time, they wanted to give people a chance to design the zero-G indicator for the Artemis 2 mission, which is going to be the first time that we've sent humans back to the moon in over 60 years, right? They're not landing, okay? This is just an orbital mission. But if you go online and look at the images that were submitted, I am particularly fond of the ones that were designed by little kids. They have these adorable ideas, and so whichever one they actually pick is going to be super cute.
Yes, I am so excited for it. And I love that NASA does really cool outreach ideas like that to get the public engaged in it. You can also send your name. My Moohoodles Twitch community is engraved on a chip going to Europa, on the Europa Clipper right now. And you can sign up to have your name going on so many different missions. They do a lot of amazing outreach to get people involved, which is cool.
Yeah, I think they're taking names for Artemis 2 right now. Mm-hmm. So if you want to be a part of that, get your name shot out into space. and put a little part of you out on that space mission. I think it's totally worth it.
Yes. Boop. Boop. Okay, that video didn't work, but come into my stream and we'll watch it. Oh, wait. Backstage.
Thank you,
time.
Tech.
I just wanted to share this because it's gorgeous.
In the core of the Lobster Nebula shines the brilliant star cluster, Pismis 24. NASA's James Webb Space Telescope captured this dramatic scene, illustrating how newborn stars can reshape their environment. Heated by the stars, these clouds of dust and gas glow brightly in infrared light. One newborn star helps illuminate and evacuate a cavern within the clouds. Strong winds and energetic radiation from the massive stars stream across and erode the dust clouds. Long, finger-like structures point back toward the cluster of stars. Pismis 24 contains a large number of very massive, very luminous stars. The brightest member is actually a multiple star system, with at least 3 massive stars orbiting each other.
So I wanted to share that because I love these 3D fly-throughs. Something that got me into space when I was younger was looking at the beautiful Hubble Space Telescope images, including, the beautiful Hubble Deep Field, and looking at all the galaxies. And I always thought, I want to fly through this. I want to know what it looks like in 3D. And I was like, oh, I'll never know. I can't go into space. I can't go through nebula. I kind of, not going to lie, I tear up a bit every time I watch these on my stream because it's like we have the technology to actually 3D model exactly what that stuff would look like and fly through it and learn more about it. And that's thanks to the amazing, space telescopes like James Webb Space Telescope and all of the awesome NASA science. And also shout out to the Space Telescope Science Institute, who handles a lot of the data from those and puts together these videos. They're also amazing. And yeah, I hope that inspires you to get excited about space. This is another one of my favorite images as well. I just wanted to share it. It's the background on my phone. I love all of the galaxies in the background of this and just sprinkled around technically. But yeah, this is NGC 602. It's on the outskirts of the Small Magellanic Cloud, which is a little satellite galaxy near the Milky Way. And I just think it's gorgeous. I think we all get excited looking at beautiful space images. It's one of my favorite things.
No, low-key, the number of times I've said, I'm not crying, you're a nebula, it happens all the time.
Seriously, though. But I think this stuff kind of really, it inspires me because it always makes me wonder or just think about the vastness of space and how much is out there waiting to be discovered that we don't know. And sometimes we get answers to our questions, right? We learn more, we're like, hey, we actually answered this huge question. But a lot of the times, we don't get those answers, and instead we get more questions. And I think that's really exciting because we're able to just learn so much more about space and kind of get closer to the truth of I don't want to say the truth of the universe because that sounds weird, but just learning more about cosmology and everything. It's so fascinating. I think my favorite thing about space is just the unknown, and all of these photos just make me think about that.
There's so much out there to be discovered. And every time we learn something new, it's not just about now I know something cool about that random world we're never going to discover. The spin-off technologies, the ways that it makes our lives better, it's just so profound that I mean, this is why we do this, right? I think there's something about it. You learn about space and it gets into your soul,
It really does. And I feel like a lot of things I always put it on my stream, we have another little puzzle piece that gets us closer to, an actual answer. And astrobiology is the love of my life, so I love talking about, every article we read, every news update, that's another extra little puzzle piece of, are we alone in the universe? And that is truly one of humanity's perhaps oldest and deepest questions. And we might have the answer to that, within the next decade, within the next few years. For me at least, maybe I don't want to be too much of a hype woman, but it feels like any day now we're going to get that huge news. And I know we have the Mars sample from Perseverance, the Cheava Fall sample, sitting on the surface of Mars that the Perseverance rover collected. That's the bottom left image there. And so essentially, those leopard spots, as they call it, in the center of the image, could have been formed from life. You might be able to elaborate on that a little bit more, but...
Yeah, I mean, it's a complicated thing, right? But there are these poppy seeds and leopard spots in this rock. Essentially, you can see there's like this white inner core with like a darker outside area that represents a reaction front. Essentially, we find these kinds of things here on Earth, but it's usually because some kind of life was doing some kind of chemical process that was taking some material and turning it into something else. And they found that on Mars in an area where we know all of the materials for life are present. It used to have liquid water, and now we have a sample of it. So I think, they announced this last year, but only recently they put it out to the scientific community, they published a paper, they peer-reviewed it, and I'm not saying it's life, we still need to figure that out, but presently, in that temperature environment, there's no way that we know of to make this kind of rock without life being present, without some kind of microbial life. And that's huge. And we won't know whether or not this is actually the evidence of life that we need until we get those samples back. And they're just sitting there, and presently, the mission, the Mars Sample Return mission, which is supposed to bring those back, that we've been working toward for decades, is on the chopping block. It is currently slated for cancellation under this current budget request. So we're hoping, and we're advocating with all of our heart to bring these back, because this might be the moment that we answer one of the most fundamental questions in the history of history, and it's just sitting there.
Yeah, I talk about this on my stream all the time, and I'm a very strong advocate for the Mars Sample Return mission. But yeah, essentially those could have been created in a high acidity or high heat environment abiotically, meaning not from life. But the review that came out earlier mentioned that they didn't find evidence of that. So as you said, it's not, hey, this is totally life. But on the ladder for, confirming life for astrobiology, we're on step 3 or 4 out of 11 or so.
Yeah, I'd call it like a 3.5.
Yeah. But essentially, before we can confirm if it's from life or not, we really need to bring those back to Earth. It is just sitting there. It is waiting. The answers are they're so close. So, yeah. The top left photo there is what is on my dress. It's Tarantula Nebula. I just think it's gorgeous. It's so pretty. We also have some beautiful gravitational lensing with the little whoop of the galaxies being bent by such a massive object. A galaxy cluster is actually bending space-time around, so you can see galaxies behind it kind of being bent. So all of those little whoop around is that. And I just wanted to share that also. But yeah, the kind of past highlights for me on Twitch is what this slide is about, and all the things I just love and enjoy talking about. I had the opportunity and the privilege to be on the front page of Twitch for my 10-year streamiversary last year. And that's me being very excited that I got to show off Saturn's moon Enceladus on there. And that is one of my favorite moons. Similar to Europa, it has an icy surface, a liquid water ocean, and we know a lot about it due to NASA's Cassini mission flying through Saturn's rings and analyzing all of the dust and actually water vapor that is being spewed out from Enceladus at a rate of 79 gallons a second. And they actually found that Enceladus has everything needed to harbor life, and in my opinion, it might be the best place in the solar system to look for life outside of Earth. But with that said, obviously, Europa is a great place, Mars is a great place, even maybe the atmosphere of Venus. Neptune's moon, Triton, also has an icy surface and liquid water, and that's way out there. So there's a lot of really exciting places for astrobiology and to kind of seek answers. But we really need to make sure these missions are happening to bring the samples back or even go out there and check it out. Like you mentioned, Europa Clipper was almost canceled several times, and that's a big thing that I really appreciate about the Planetary Society is the fierce advocacy y'all do so NASA missions can happen, because I do the same stuff on my stream trying to get people excited educate people on what's going on and how we can make a difference and, try to point us towards the future that we all want to see. The bottom photo down there is me being very excited for Europa Clipper to launch. I very intentionally wore my Twitch Science Week shirt. There's Kappa on there, Kappa astronaut, and Frankers, and that shirt means a lot to me because in 2018, Twitch had a Science Week. I actually got to have a question answered by Andrew Ann, Carl Sagan's wife, and that's when Twitch also made the science and technology category. And for me, streaming this stuff for a long time, it really meant a lot to have a category for the content that I stream, as well as so many other streamers. So I wanted to take the opportunity to say, I'm not the only person that does space streams. I'm not the only person that does science outreach and science communication on Twitch. Please join the Knowledge Fellowship Discord. Check out all of the other amazing streamers. And if you like this stuff, join us. Share your passion, share your knowledge, share the things that you're excited about. I feel like it makes the world such a better place. And that bottom right photo is Europa Clipper going over Europa, just obviously an artistic rendering, but wanted to include that in there.
But really, thank you for being one of the faces of space exploration on Twitch. It means so much to me that so many new people are out there sharing this stuff, because the stuff that we're learning is absolutely bonkers, and we need more people talking about it. We need inspiration right now, I think, more than ever. And whenever I'm going through a hard time, I like to think about all the things that are going on out there in space, and the fact that we might be some of the only intelligent creatures in the whole universe looking up at that, able to fathom what's going on. So thank you for inspiring so many people.
Oh, thank you. I mean, I could say the same to you with what you do with the podcast and everything. Greatly appreciate it. I think all of us space nerds in here unite over our love for space, and yeah. Space
go out there and support the people streaming on Twitch that are doing this, because we need more and more people doing it.
Thank you. Yeah, space definitely unites humanity. So, what's coming up next? What's some exciting things to look forward to in the future?
Well, just briefly, so every year we try to hype people up about what's happening in space by doing a best of campaign. So just in, I think, about 2 weeks, we're doing our best of 2025 campaign. If you want to go out there and vote for your favorite space missions, the coolest images, the best discoveries of this year, I'm going to call it right now. I think that Sapphire Canyon Chayava Falls thing on Mars might be one of our biggest winners, but we're going to be doing that campaign. We're also finishing up our 45th anniversary celebration by looking back at all the things that we've been doing. We've had some really fun events over the year. We had a gala on a boat that was bonkers. I had a great time. That picture down at the bottom left is actually an image of the mission that we sent our PlanetVac mission, our PlanetVac technology on, that went to the moon. So that's a little vacuum that sucks things up. That's a picture of the mission on the way to the moon on the Peregrine lander. That bottom picture on the bottom right, that's an image of me shaking hands with Matt Kaplan, who used to be the host of Planetary Radio for 20 years. He hosted the show. So I became the host about 3 years ago, and for the first time in Planetary Radio history, in part because of the passion that we've seen through Twitch, we got funding to turn our studio into a video studio. So right now we're in the process of revamping our studio. We're going to do that. And if you guys are excited about that, right now the plan is just to share some short form videos and maybe make a VOD or something out of it. But I want to start Twitch streaming, and I need you guys to tell our management and advocate for it so I can get permission to do that. Because I want to do more collaborations with you. I want to do more with the Twitch community online. We can not only share things from the show, but I think just like wrapping up what happened in space exploration every week could be really cool. Or I'm a huge gamer, so if you want me to sit down and tell you about the physics of Star Citizen, I am so down.
That's our next collab stream, please.
Oh my gosh, yes.
It's so fun.
But yeah, so there's just so many things going on. And I forgot to mention this. The PlanetVac technology that we sent to the moon as a test, we're putting that on a Japanese space agency mission, the Martian Moon Explorer. So that thing's going to be going out to the moons of Mars, and we're going to be landing Planet Vac on the moon Phobos. It's a weird potato moon, but it's actually one of my favorite moons because its situation around Mars is such that the gravity, we think, is going to shred that potato into a ring someday. Not now, like maybe in a few million years, right? But like Mars might get a moon someday, and we're going to get a sample of that thing before it happens.
Which is so fascinating and so exciting. I just think y'all do the coolest stuff. Thank you.
I don't know, it's just so much fun. Can I just pop off for a second here? Don't let anyone ever tell you that you are not allowed to have your dreams come true, right? I think each and every one of us is so passionate about something, and so many of us have to live these lives where we can't accomplish our dreams, either because of what's going on in the world around us, or because someone told you that you weren't worthy of it. And I think so many times in my life, and I'm sure it happened to you too, people have told us that we couldn't go into science or that we weren't worthy of it, and just push through it, man, because you deserve it and you deserve to live that dream. And I'm so grateful and so privileged to be able to do this kind of stuff. It is so awesome.
Thank you. I thank you for popping off on that too, because I know you know that's something I'm also very passionate about. There's so many avenues into STEM, even maybe working at NASA or doing other things. There's citizen science projects you can get involved in. You do not have to be a scientist. You do not need a PhD astrophysics degree to get involved with space stuff. Never feel like you're not good enough. Never feel like you can't, pursue your dreams or achieve your goals. That is a huge thing I talk about on my stream all of the time. So thank you. Thank you for bringing that up. Yeah.
No, really. I glossed over this one, but our STEP grant program, we give money to people to create projects. One of them that we did was actually a citizen science project through Zooniverse that allowed people around the world to try to hunt for extraterrestrial techno-signatures. Like, we gave money to that, and we went through all of that data, and that's real science. And if you help on citizen science projects, they will straight up put your name in the paper when the discovery is published. Like, that is a real way to get out there and do that work. And after I got my degree in astrophysics, I was a planet hunter back in the day. I'm not mad at the Kepler Space Telescope for taking my job. It did it better than any of us could. But after that, I used citizen science projects to continue doing that work through Zooniverse, through the Planet Hunters Project. So if you want to get involved, there are so many ways that you can do that.
Yeah, you can Google NASA citizen science or go onto Zooniverse, as you mentioned, and check out all of that stuff as well. Or if you're like, wait, I forgot what it was, come into my stream and ask. We have a whole bunch of commands for that, and I will tell you all about it. So kind of what's next in space and things I'm personally excited about. We have the Orionids meteor shower peaking on October 20th and 21st. It is during a new moon, finally, so it's really great viewing conditions to see meteors streaking across the sky. So I really love telling everyone amazing things that you can see, just, current events happening in astronomy that you can go outside, look up, and check out. Obviously, there's, solar eclipses and things. There's one in Iceland and Spain coming up next year. And so many amazing things. Obviously, the meteor showers happen every year. Different moon phases kind of affects how much you can see, but this is going to be a good one if you're able to check it out. Sometimes, sometimes you have to get out of cities, out of light pollution areas, and go a little bit further to see better. I personally am also very excited for the future of exoplanet science. So exoplanets are planets orbiting any other star that's not our sun. And we're trying to see if there's any exoplanets out there that are similar to Earth or could maybe harbor life. Are there biosignatures in the atmosphere? Something that says, hey, life is here. This wasn't made just from volcanoes or something, like something's going on. And that could maybe be the case with the exoplanet K2-18b. James Webb Space Telescope uses spectroscopy, essentially light passing through the star, going from the star, passing through the atmosphere of the exoplanet, going all the way through space until it hits JWST's instruments, and we can actually look at that light to figure out the composition of the atmosphere. K2-18b needs quite a bit more data before they can say, yes, there was dimethyl sulfide, the DMS, that biosignature you maybe heard about last year. But I'm excited to see what comes of that and other exoplanet science like the TRAPPIST-1 system and everything else. So yeah, very excited for that. You probably heard of 3I Atlas, the interstellar object, which is a comet from outside of the solar system. It is a comet.
Yeah, I know there's all kinds of like, what is going on with the interstellar objects? It's not like interstellar objects didn't happen before. We just now have the technology to see stuff and detect them to figure out whether or not they come from outside of our solar system. Right now we've discovered the third one, and we know it's a comet because it has a tail and things like that. But right now it's behind the sun. You can't really observe it, but if you're an astrophotographer or something, we're trying to get people around the world to take as many images of this thing as possible, because studying something that comes from outside of our solar system, that's like absolutely bonkers, and it might even be older than our solar system itself. So we're expecting some weird stuff to happen as it passes closest to the sun. It might break up, it might do a lot of weird things. I know in the past we've had some situations with interstellar objects where as they leave the solar system, they speed up. That's probably because when they interact with the sun, you get outgassing and it gives it like a little kick of speed, and probably not because it's actually an alien spacecraft or something, right? That's most of the stories you're going to see online. There's totally legit science reasons, but also all the more reason to investigate something like this.
Indeed, yeah. And I do think we will find a lot more interstellar objects. Obviously, we don't know how often they pass through our solar system. The first one was Oumuamua in 2017. That's the one you were talking about that went whoosh out of the solar system. But I think we'll be finding a lot more of those, especially with new observatories coming online. Vera Rubin is doing its 10-year legacy space-time sky survey, and I'm thrilled for that. We'll be finding more asteroids, just learning a whole bunch with it. But yeah, probably more interstellar objects. And this one, I wanted to point out, might be older than our sun. It might be older than our star, older than our solar system, which is so surreal to think about. So in the future, I really hope we have some space missions going out there to maybe get a sample or checking these out a bit more so we can learn more about the composition of maybe other solar systems in our galaxy and just our galaxy in general. I'm also very excited, I'll just point out, to learn more about the asteroids and everything in our solar system too. You maybe heard about the Bennu sample return mission and all of the exciting stuff with that. I just love learning about everything, especially how it relates to not just the formation of our solar system and all of the ingredients around, but it relates to astrobiology, because these asteroids maybe brought the ingredients for life, different amino acids and everything, to Earth. So they could have helped life originate on Earth. And for astrobiology overall, we kind of wonder, is this a necessary step, or did it just, help out? And it's really exciting.
The Bennu samples are so completely bonkers. Like, they have these complex organics on them. We don't have any straight up nucleobases or DNA or RNA on there, but all of the ingredients are literally sitting on there, and even ones that aren't used in life on Earth. So even if life didn't come to Earth from these asteroids, it's a great example of the fact that everything you need to build life, you can easily make just on a rock floating in space somewhere. That's absolutely nuts. Also, you should check out that mission that went there, because the footage of it trying to grab a sample out of that and almost straight up
punched it.
Just almost buried itself in this rubble pile asteroid like it was jumping into a ball pit.
Yeah, it's really funny. It's great. But yeah, I'm definitely very excited to see what we learn from those. And obviously, the ingredients for life are all of the molecules. We are all star stuff. We're a way for the cosmos to know itself. But all of those ingredients are out there. They just have to come together in the right quantities, in the right way, in the right environment, the right temperature, maybe with water and all of this stuff. So it's always very fascinating to learn about. I want to make sure we have enough time for Q&A, so we might kind of speed run through the NASA stuff. But I know NASA's very excited for the Artemis 2 mission. I'm super thrilled to see the amazing representation of these astronauts as well. It means a lot to me personally to see the first woman is going to be orbiting and going around the moon next year. And the first person of color, the first Canadian as well, is joining. And I'm just very, very excited to get, humans going to the moon and for them to do the next steps of the Artemis program. They do plan to land astronauts on the moon with Artemis 3 in the future. And we're hoping to do, some scientific moon bases, get radio telescopes up there so we don't have interference from Earth and the satellites around. Maybe even do I always have to think of the computer, the Lunar Gateway.
The Lunar Gateway,
orbiting
space
around
station.
the moon. Yeah, the Gateway space station. Yeah, so very excited for that. I'm also super stoked for the Nancy Grace Roman Space Telescope. If you like beautiful space images, or you're like, oh, I'm a big fan of Hubble Space Telescope images. Okay, imagine your favorite Hubble image. Maybe, let's just say Pillars of Creation or something, right? Nancy Grace Roman Space Telescope is going to take images of that quality, that beautiful, but 100 times the field of view, y'all. So imagine that, but just like, woo! I like talking about the Carina Nebula image that was a composite image of like 48 different pictures that were stitched together from Hubble. It's a huge, beautiful like landscape photo. Mystic Mountain is in it. And yeah, Nancy Grace Roman Space Telescope's gonna be like twice the size of that. I cannot wait. It also has a coronagraph, so it'll be able to directly image exoplanets. It's not gonna be beautiful, high-resolution images, y'all. It's gonna be like a few pixels, but that is so exciting for scientists and huge nerds like me and probably a lot of us in here, because we can learn a lot about an exoplanet and its atmosphere and everything from those pixels and from that data. Nancy Grace Roman Space Telescope will also be kind of trying to learn more about dark matter and dark energy and just solve more answers of the universe. I think you know a bit more about the X-59 as well on the top right there.
Yeah, I think people forget that part of what NASA does is make cool planes, right? Essentially, they're trying to make a supersonic plane that doesn't make that totally annoying sonic boom that disrupts everyone's lives. It's also powered by hydrazine. So is anyone in the crowd here a fan of the book The Martian? Yeah. You know that scene where he's trying to figure out how to make oxygen? He has to pull out the hydrazine and like separate it in space, but also that might totally explode. They basically figured out how to control the explosion in such a way that you could power an actual plane off of it. So this is one of their experimental technologies that they're working on, and I would be very grateful because there have been times that I've been absolutely destroyed by sonic booms over my house.
Fair enough, yeah. I know NASA is also all about outreach and doing amazing, Twitch streams, obviously. I'm really sad that they weren't able to be here, and I know that they are as well. But yeah, I know they want to collaborate with streamers. They want to do more streams from space and all around. So don't be afraid to reach out to NASA and say, hey, I want to stream with you. I want to work with you. They are so amazing and so kind, and they really value what you have to say. I know they're really interested to hear what you want to see on their Twitch stream. So even though they're not here, I'm not affiliated with NASA, and they didn't ask me to do this. But if you want to come up to me afterwards or later on at the Science and Technology meetup, which you can see in the center here, I would love to hear what you would like to see NASA to stream in the future, and I can forward that to them and say, sorry you couldn't make it to TwitchCon, but I kind of got some feedback for y'all, because I know that was a big question that they had last year, that they were curious. They genuinely care about each and every one of you and want to hear what you want to see on their streams, what outreach would get you excited and inspired. So yeah, feel free to let me know and I can forward that to them. But as we're wrapping up here before our Q&A, we'll hopefully have about 10 minutes or so for it. But I just wanted to kind of reiterate, I'm Moohoodles on everything. Feel free to join my streams, and yeah, I stream every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And the Science and Technology meetup will be in the Community Meetups 1 room from 5 to 6 today. We'll have some like cool swag and things to give away. I know we have some up here as well. But yeah, I'm really excited, and you can do your...
Well, you can also listen to my show, Planetary Radio, anywhere you get your podcasts. I come out with one every Wednesday, but also we do some bonus episodes on space policy, and we do a space book club as well. So I'm doing 1 or 2 podcasts every week. We talk to people all around the world, the people leading the missions, the people communicating on this stuff. And I have to say, Now that we're at the end of the slides, this is not in any way affiliated with NASA, but we need your help and your advocacy right now. I'm just going to say it. So
Yes.
we're in a weird time. Right now, the budget request for NASA is cutting 47% of all NASA science funding. Most of the missions that we've talked about here today are potentially on the chopping block. Over 40 missions. These are things that take decades. They take generational knowledge. They take so much passion and work, and they are all on the edge of being absolutely destroyed. And part of what we do at the Planetary Society is that we organize people to advocate for space. Just 2 weeks ago, we took over 300 advocates to the US Capitol. We marched through Congress, and we shared our love of space with everyone. And I want to reiterate, this isn't about political sides, right? It does not matter what side of the aisle you're on or what your internal beliefs are. Space is one of those things that brings all of us together. This is a journey for all of humanity. This is something we can truly unite around to better humanity. And so if you want to get involved to help us save NASA, basically, you can go to planetary.org/save NASA Science to learn what you can do. Because I don't know about you, but if the Voyager mission goes dark, I will lose my freaking mind.
If any of these missions go dark, I feel like I will lose my mind. But yes. And obviously, I'm a strong advocate for this stuff too. I'm always talking about it on my stream. And a big part of what I wanted to really communicate and be clear in this panel is that each and every one of us can make a difference through advocating for the things that we find important in life, the things that we care about. I think we can all get involved on a local level or with grassroots organizations and make a difference. This is kind of a full circle moment of just some random Twitch streamer being like, hey, I like space, I want to do things, but I've made a little ripple, and I know that spreads out, and people around the world are able to get involved with the Planetary Society and other organizations to say, we love space, we want these missions to happen. And then in return, NASA, is able to secure funding and make these missions happen. Like Europa Clipper, for example, which is the perfect one because I'm obsessed with it. Y'all help make it happen. And then NASA was like, hey, we're good to go and we're launching it. So I just want to remind everyone, each and every one of us has the power to get involved and truly make a difference. And even if that's just sending a scripted email or making that scripted phone call, I know y'all have that on your website, it truly does make a difference and has an impact. And so whatever resonates with you and whatever you feel like you want to do with that, take what you want from this. But and it doesn't have to be space stuff. There's so many amazing charity streamers and people that make a difference on Twitch. I want all y'all to know, as a viewer, a moderator, a streamer, like you all are absolutely amazing for being a part of this incredibly special platform and science outreach and communication and everything. And thank you for your time, for being here. I would love to take some questions. Out of respect for time for everyone, if you can kind of keep them short and concise, you can line up at the microphones on both sides. I think there's some there and some over there. Q&A away. Appreciate y'all.
Hey, you mentioned some maybe software or something for the 3D things that you do to look through all the stuff. Is there anything particular you recommend for that?
Oh, that's a good question. I was more so referencing the 3D visualization fly-throughs that the Space Science Telescope Institute makes and we're able to watch. But there is 3D software that actually lets you look through space. Space Engine is really cool. It's like a game, but it's kind of like a simulator. I am forgetting the name of the other kind of 3D. Are you aware of one? I feel like there's a 3D web app. I know NASA has the eyes.nasa.gov for a lot of cool 3D things you can see in real time where different missions like James Webb Space Telescope, Europa Clipper, and everything are. You can see where all the exoplanets we've discovered are. I might have to look into that and get back to you. If you message me on Discord or in my stream or anything, I can...
Yeah, awesome.
Find
Thank
another
you.
cool thing. Yeah, thank you. We can go over here. Slide.
Me? Is there any new information or discovery or anything about black holes?
Oh.
I really love black holes. I want to know, please.
Yeah, I mean, So what I would say is that the Event Horizon Telescope, which they've been using interferometry, basically, to actually take images of black holes, or rather, you can't take pictures of them directly, but through the data, we can create simulations of what these black holes look like. So if you look up the Event Horizon Telescope, check out what they're doing, learning more about the supermassive black hole, Sagittarius A star, in the center of our galaxy, because it's really, really cool. Also, check out LIGO, the Laser Interferometry Gravitational Wave Observatory. What they're doing is they're using ripples in the fabric of space-time, gravitational waves, to detect collisions of black holes and other compact objects. And when two black holes spiral into each other, it literally rings the universe like a bell. And so through that, they're learning more about black holes, but also they've discovered that most of the more complicated elements in our bodies are actually made in high-speed collisions of neutron stars. We used to think a lot of that came out of big stars and supernovae when they exploded, but it's actually these compact objects hitting each other that's making gold and calcium and all these things in our bodies. So I would check out those two things.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hello. Thank you guys so much for being here. Talking about scientific outreach, pale blue dot is one of the classic examples, right? Everybody thinks of Carl Sagan, but Carolyn Porco is one of my favorite people in science. Do you have a person or an organization that kind of comes to mind who's doing a lot of less public-facing work that's going to really impact or shape the way the public views space and science?
That's a good question.
It is. I mean, I would say Planetary Society, but also there are
my answer.
so many different space organizations around the world. I think too that, you bring up Carl Sagan as an example. Back in the day, it was so hard for people to get their faces out there to communicate about science that we ended up with these superstars in science that were known for making these grand speeches. But we're now in a day where it's literally people all around the world online. And for that reason, it's harder to point to direct examples because it's now a distributed web of people speaking out online. But there are so many wonderful science communicators. People like Neil deGrasse Tyson, for example, come to mind. But I would encourage you to try to look at all the smaller influencers as well and do that kind of thing.
Yeah, there's so many Twitch streamers, teachers in different schools around the world, and science communicators everywhere. Yeah, thank you.
I wish everyone had that Carl Sagan-like platform, right? Because of his power, I know he inspired me.
Same, yeah.
I heard that it would be possible to use the gravitational lensing of the sun as a telescope. Is it?
Yes.
Yeah.
So we would have to put a spacecraft 9 times out the distance that Pluto orbits our sun, and then we can get beautiful, high resolution, perfect crystal clear images of another planet in another solar system. I think we kind of have the technology, but it would be really hard to do. That's kind of my dream mission, though, to be honest. It is possible, but obviously we don't have that in space right now.
No, but that is absolutely a thing, and I would love to see it happen because whoever galaxy-brained using the sun to build a giant space telescope, 10 out of 10.
Hi. I'm actually starting a PhD in January, working under a professor who worked on Perseverance, and we're doing kind of research on using multiple rovers to explore. Just kind of wondering, I know you're not researchers yourselves, but if you had any advice for someone kind of going in that direction.
Oof. First off, congratulations, that is an epic amount of work, right? Seriously. And especially with the rescinding of grant funding for so many people getting their PhDs, that is epic. What I would say is pull up the papers that are closest to whatever your topic is, write all of the lead authors and collaborate, but also figure out what conferences and things they're at, because my personal experience is that so many of these collaborations and the things that elevate your career are through going to those events and talking to those people and making those connections, because suddenly you're a co-author on some big paper and that pushes your career forward and that kind of thing. But also there are organizations online, more recent one called NOVA. They're organizations specifically for grad students that are getting their PhDs to learn the ins and outs of how to get grant funding and things like that, because I know it's a really complicated system. So finding that community that can help you through that, I think is really important, because, you know, also drink water and don't burn yourself out.
I think it's important to have a community around you that supports you, that you can lean on. So don't forget that. I know a lot of people in my Twitch community are doing similar things, doing their PhD and doing amazing things. So yeah, collaborate obviously with people in person, but there's a lot of amazing people online too that want to support you and encourage you on. And yeah, congratulations and good luck. I know we're about at time, but I want to get to your question really quick.
I know there's a lot of research into planets as individual objects. Is there any research into connections between planets and the sun, like plasma? The sun is spitting out plasma all the time. How does electricity interact with that? Strong electric currents traveling between? I just haven't seen a lot about the more complex connections and interactions.
You can take it if you want. No, what you want to look up is comparative planetology, first off, to learn about the planets and how they connect with each other. Also, whenever a telescope like JWST looks at a system, they try to compare what's going on between worlds. There are also a lot of people studying primarily how our sun, through heliophysics, interacts with the other objects in the solar system. But so much of this is like a beginning field. But there are people that are doing these kinds of comparisons, particularly trying to learn about planetary evolution, how these disks of material around stars evolves to form planets, how that differentiates over time, and how they connect with each other, right? Another fun way that you can learn more about this is primarily looking at the Jupiter system, because the way that these moons, through their electromagnetic fields, are interacting with Jupiter, you can literally see the aurora produced on Jupiter through the Juno mission by particular moons. And also learning more about right now, especially during solar maximum, the sun is popping off. So we're doing a lot of research with a lot of solar missions to learn how what's going on with the sun is impacting these other worlds. But we're going to need to learn more about like long wavelength astronomy and build some telescopes in space that are rather huge to let us learn more about how exoplanet stars interact with their systems.
Thank you, and thank you all for the time. Thanks for being here and supporting us in science outreach, space science. Feel free to come up, get some swag. We can be around to chat and get photos, but I know they want us to get out of the room pretty soon, so we can do that outside. But come get these. Twitch was kind enough to print out these cute trading cards and stuff. I think they're on your chair or under them. Be sure to grab those. There's more of them up here. And yeah, thank you all so much.
Thank you for being here.
And thank you, Sarah.